Welcome back to Habit 7, which is Sharpen the Saw. And Habit 7, if we're good at this, makes us enable us to help with the other 6 habits. So that's really exciting to be able to finish off today with you, Paul, on the 7th habit.
Glad to be here, Jim.
So, Paul, in the 7th habit, we learn how to renew ourselves in 4 specific dimensions. So mental, you've got spiritual, social, emotional, and physical. And in doing so, sometimes the word stress comes up, which in your book you said stress really doesn't exist. It's really a perception that an outside force is affecting our inner state.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis to minimize, even though we might not say that stress exists, but minimize those forces?
Well, that book's, Jim, that you're referencing is decades old. So I've still evolved. I've actually taken it to another step. I have eliminated the word stress from my vocabulary. Really, I don't think it exists. The concept of stress is a perspective. Some people think it exists, so for them it does. And the rest of us, the few of us, and hopefully there'll be more soon, we just don't think it exists. Okay, so let me give an example. Some people will say this is a stressful situation. So I've changed that. I won't use that terminology. I'll say this is a situation that is a management opportunity. Okay, now what I follow that up with the following decision-making process. 1, what is my priority for the situation? Where is it? Is it a big rock? Is it a small rock? And then I'm also, based on that prioritization, I'm going to decide how much time and energy I will give to this situation. Okay, now a decision-making process like that is really useful. It takes the power out of the situation and it puts the power back in my lap to make decisions, look for options to make progress, and to move forward.
That's fantastic.
The other thing, another specific technique is, and I think we talked about this one time, since the early 1970s I've been doing, practicing what's called transcendental meditation. The TM technique, it's been around for a while. And really it's very simple. What I do almost every day, but not always twice a day, but I try to, depending on the schedule. I'll just sit quietly in the morning and then again late afternoon. I just close my eyes and just relax. And within about 5 or 10 minutes, my body really is beginning to go into that kind of a sleep kind of a state. It goes into very deep rest, but I stay completely mentally alert. It's an interesting effect. And here's what it does. It's just like a recharging of the batteries. It just kind of clears out the mind, lets the body recharge. And because of that, it's just a wonderful practice for me to be at my best and to make progress in all the management opportunities that show up during the day.
And some interruptions that might occur too, unexpected happenings. So thank you, Paul, for that. That's a great observation. So, Paul, I know you like to schedule your time well in advance. And looking at a weekly schedule, do you set aside specific blocks for each of the 4 dimensions, even though you know an urgent quadrant 1 happening might occur? How do you manage your time in that respect?
So usually Sunday evenings I'll sit for as long as it takes. It doesn't take very long, but I will look at the week. And yes, I will schedule renewal activities in each one of the dimensions for each day. But let me clarify that. I don't hit every single dimension for a Habit 7 Sharpen Your Saw activity every day. I just don't. It depends upon what else is showing up. And as I always like to say, I think that making money and paying the bills is pretty important. So I'm going to fit that in most days. All right.
Critical.
Okay. I'll also say that many Habit 7 activities for me occur kind of like in a multiplier effect. I think I can do multiple dimensions at the same time. Kind of a 1 + 1 = 4. So for example, I'll give you an example. I like to ride the stationary bike. First of all, I'm not really going anywhere, which for me is also renewal.
That's right.
But it's cardio, so I'm getting some exercise. But what I really love about it is I get to read. I also will alternately have the TV on at the same time, and sometimes I'm reading. I'll stop if something comes on. There's a show I want to take a look at, so I can look at a TV show as well. So let's think about that. I'm getting physical. I'm certainly learning. I could be learning something new. That's intellectually stimulating. It can also be something that is a relationship TV episode or something that's useful that way. I also would tell you that my wife often works out in the same room that I do. We have she will get on the treadmill or she'll do floor exercises. So if we think about it, now I can ride the bike, read, or watch TV, or talk to my wife
In the social
about
dimension.
So now we're continuing
Yeah.
to build our relationship. I tell you, this gym has worked extremely well for us, and again, one plus one equals at least 4 in this case.
That's great. You just need enough room to have 2 activity centers for physical.
Well, let's think
yeah.
synergy even within
Sure,
Habit 7.
Sure, that's wonderful. Thank you. So, Paul, practitioners of mindfulness, which we've used before in some of our training sessions, really try to remind us to live in the present moment.
Yes.
How do you deal with situations where you might feel overwhelmed by a past memory,
Sure.
or in some cases, over concerned about a future event that might have a lot of uncertainty and anxiety attached to it? How do you deal with that?
Okay, just like earlier, I said I eliminated the word stress from my vocabulary. I think we need to eliminate a few more words. For example, the word concerned, not the future, but concerned about the future, anything that indicates we're out of control. Avoiding is another word that these words like stress, avoiding, concerned about the future. These things imply that there's something outside of us that can hurt us. That's what's it's the concept of stress, or I need to avoid
Which
that.
we fear.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to avoid that. That's kind of a soft sell word to say, boy, there's something that could hurt me outside of me, and I can't do anything about it. So let's first of all, we need to change these words. So, for example, I don't really avoid anything. If I believe in my ability to assess a situation and then begin to look for information, relevant information, to identify an option or two to address the situation, I have nothing to avoid. All right. So I will skip the word avoid or ignore it if it's around the table and go right to that process. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though it might be unpleasant at the moment.
Yeah, but again, if I believe in my ability to manage,
Sure.
then I don't have anything to worry about.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. What was the other thing you talked about?
Well, the uncertainty
About the future.
the future, anxiety about the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we are the programmers of our lives. The future is anything we want it to be. Also, and I know you know this, some of the greatest minds in history have talked about that the things that we try to avoid or the things that we're worried about that will happen in the future never happen.
Never happen.
They never happen. In the rare case they do, they're a much lower impact than we ever imagined. So again, it's like that word stress. We churn it up in our minds in a way that's not realistic. So let's just think about, we can decide what we want, set goals, make sure the goals for what we want are absolutely linked to the core values in our personal mission statement. If those things occur and we're willing to work over time, we can have anything we want. Again, there'll be bumps along the way and things that we are not foreseen, but so what?
Sure.
It just doesn't matter. And I like the final expression, the glass is half full. You know the way I know that? It's my glass. You have a glass.
Yeah.
You decide. It's anything you want it to be.
Great.
If you want it to be half empty, that's up to you. But maybe it's completely full, and you get to decide.
That's wonderful.
There you go.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for this habit and all the habits that you've helped with in describing. I just want to finish up with a little commercial for your book, which is called Business Sense. And those of you that would like to look for it, it's still available on Amazon. So thank you very much for this. I hope it's helpful to the folks trying to get refreshed and renewed on the program.
This book he's talking about, by the way, if you don't like it, I understand it works really well as kindling to start a fire. All right, so you can't lose. It'll be a win-win in there sometime.
Put it in your kit. It'll be useful for anything, including building a fire in an emergency. So that's great. Well, thank you very much. Take care. All right, bye-bye.